Good morning, dear students and concerned teachers. I am Smita Patel from TPS High School, Banpali. Welcome you all to this live virtual class from our Sundargarh districts. Dear students, today we will learn about an important character in our life, that is our grandmother. When we hear the word grandmother, a sweet smile comes on our face. Yes or no? Grandmother are really an important and also a God-gifted character in our life. The Portrait of a Lady. This story is a heartwarming and a story of deep bondage, unconditional bondage between grandparents and their children. Here, Khushbant Singh, the writer, he conveys how there is a important bondage and also a sweet bondage between the grandparents and their children, and also how we imbibe social virtues, family culture, and also so many things in our life through this, through our grandparents. Grandparents pray selflessly for us, for their children, and also they always a source of inspiration of great virtues, and also they love unconditionally. Dear students, here in this autobiography, Khushbant Singh describes the bondage, the relationships of his and his grandmother, and how it changes with the passage of time. So, dear students, let's go to the smartboard and learn more about it. First of all, we will learn more about our author, who is the author of this Portrait of the Lady, Khushbant Singh. Yes or no? So Khushbant Singh was an Indian author, lawyer, diplomat, journalist and politician. His experience in the 1947 partition of India inspired him to write Train to Pakistan in 1956, which became his most well-known novel. He was born on 2nd February 1915 at Hadali in Pakistan. He was died on 20th March 2014 at Sujal Singh Park in New Delhi. He was awarded with Padma Bhushan also and Padma Bhushan also. So let's learn more about our author Khushbant Singh. The writings of Khushbant Singh were both fictional and non-fictional. काल्पनिक मध्य थिला एवं सत्यता उपरे मध्य आधारित थिला. That is called as fictional and also non-fictional. He primarily wrote in English. One of his best known works was Train to Pakistan. सेटा तांकर best known writing अटे एवं which is originally published in when 1956, which brought him recognition on a global scale and the Group Press Award in 1954. I Shall Not Hear the Nightingale was another of his works published in 1959. Another successful piece of work was The Portrait of a Lady, which we will learn today. He received the Padma Bhushan Award from India's president in 1974, and he also received the Padma Vibhushan in 2007. से आमर पद्म भूषण और पद्म विभूषण दुईटी से पाइथिले. This is the picture of the book, that is the Train to Pakistan. Now, before going to the chapter, let's know something. Grandparents are the most lovable people in this world. सबुठारु बहुत lovable person अटंती कि नहीं. They pray selflessly. से सदा बेले आमर आम पई कोन प्रे करिथांती selflessly without any reason, नाइ, and continuously for our well-being. आमर भलो पई से सर्वदा कोन करथांती प्रार्थना करथांती. I think we all have grandparents ना. Do you have grandparents? Yes, of course. Most of us all have grandparents. And what do they do? What do they do? They do various things for us. They tell us stories. They always teach us so many good things which is good for us, which is not good for us, and also what to do in our life. Okay, and also they play with us. They play with us. Also, sometimes they make various dishes for us. And do you spend time with them? Yes or no? I think we all love to spend time with them. Okay, then if you want to know more about your grandparents, your friends' grandparents, then go to their home and also ask to your friends' grandparents about their likes, dislikes, and also and try to know more about them, how they like to spend their time, and also some important events that they remember, so that you can learn so many things and so many important events which have happened in their life. A portrait is a painting picture of any other artistic representation of a person. What is the meaning of that portrait? That is a picture or any other artistic representation of a person. So I think we have a clear idea that today we will learn about whom? About our grandmother. Here in this autobiography, Kushwant Singh, our writer, he describes about his grandmother. So first read the text, then we will learn more about our grandparents. My grandmother, like everybody's grandmother, was an old woman. She had been old and wrinkled for the 20 years that I had known her. People said that she had once been young and pretty and had even had a husband, but that was hard to believe. My grandfather's portrait hung above the mantelpiece in the drawing room. He wore a big turban and loose-fitting clothes. His long white beard covered the best part of his chest, and he looked at least 100 years old. He did not look the sort of person who would have a wife or children. He looked as if he could only have lots and lots of grandchildren. As for my grandmother, being young and pretty, the thought was almost revolting. She often told us of the games she used to play as a child that seemed quite absurd and undignified on her part, and we treated it like the tales of the prophets she used to tell us. So first let's learn about unknown word, wrinkled, kunchita rekha, lines or creases on the skin. Here you can see, tome dekhi paruthubo, nahi, normal faces and young faces and wrinkled faces, difference between that. And also pretty means pleasing or attractive. Portrait, chitra, mantelpiece, cells that project from wall above the fireplace. This one we call as mantelpiece. Then turban. Turban, this is called turban. This is the picture. Beard. Here you can see the picture of beard. Okay. And revolting, vidroho, extremely unpleasant. विद्रोहात्मक भावना को रिवोल्टिंग कहा जाए. एब्जर्ट माने जोटा कि युक्तियुक्त नुहे, नॉट एट ऑल सेंसिबल, अनडिग्निफाइड अप्रतिष्ठित बा लैकिंग ऑफ डिग्निटी. ओके, लेट्स रीड दिस वर्ड्स, अननोन वर्ड्स once again. Wrinkled, pretty, portrait, mantelpiece, then turban, beard, revolting, absurd and undignified. So let's understand the text. My grandmother, like everybody's grandmother, was an old woman. जेमिति ओल्ड वुमेन आमे ग्रैंडमदर माने हमरो ऑटोमेटिकली हम माइंड को कोन आसे एज एन ओल्ड वुमेन नहीं. She had been old and wrinkled for the 20 years that I had known her. Means एइथिरु आमे जडा पडछि जे हमरो खुशवंत सिंह जे राइटर से तांको केते वर्ष होइछि 20 इयर्स होइछि एवं से कहउचंती से जेबेटु तांको जेजेमा को देखिचंती से समयरु तांकर फेस केमदी से ओल्ड एवं wrinkled faces. Here you can see the wrinkled faces नहीं of grandmother. तो से जेतेबेले ठू देखिचंती तांको तांको जेजेमा को से केउ रूपरे देखिचंती एही रूपरे देखिचंती with wrinkled faces नहीं. So people said that people लोक माने कहंती that she had once been young and pretty and had even had a husband. किंतु समय समय लोक मैंने आखपाखर से माने कहती जे तुम जेजेमा केमती थिले ना यंग थिले प्रीटी थिले बहुत सुंदर थिले एवं कौन थिले आउ तांकर मध्ये जणे हस्बैंड थिले. दैट वाज हार्ड टू बिलीव कहीं ना से जेते बेले स्टार्टिंग रु जेते बेले देखिचंती तांको जेजेमा को से तांको एई रूप रे ही तांको देखिचंती 20 वर्ष जाय नहीं स्टार्टिंग छोटो बेले रु. तेणु से तांको सेई जिंसटा जेतेबेले से लोक माने कहंती जे से वांस माने थोरे से कोन आगरु कोन थिले यंग थिले प्रीटी थिले से समय सेईटा आउ से एथिरु जणा पड़छि जे से तांकर से जेतेबेले जन्म होइछंती जेजे बापा तांकर से समय रे नाहांती. तेणु से इमेजिन भी करि पाउनांती जे तांको जेजेमा कोन केउ समय रे गोटे कोन यंग आउ प्रीटी थिले बोली से इमेजिन करि पाउनांती एवं कोन सेटा तांको विश्वास बिलीव हेउ नाही तांको सेटा विश्वास करिया को बहुत कोन लाउची सेटा से रिवोल्टिंग टाइप रो तांको लागुची नाही. माय ग्रैंडफादर्स पोर्ट्रेट तांको ग्रैंडफादर जेतु से मृत्युवरण कर साचंती तेणु तांकर पोर्ट्रेट माने गोटे चित्र कोठी टंगा आइची तांकर ड्राइंग रूम रे आमे कोन एई मेंटल पीस एटा को कुहा जाय जोठी हमर ड्राइंग रूम रे एई स्थान रे तांकर कोन आइची सेठी तांकर पोर्ट्रेट ता लगा जायछि. हेले से पोर्ट्रेट रे से केमिति तांकर चित्र को से माने वर्णना करछंती. माय ग्रैंडफादर्स पोर्ट्रेट हंग अबव द मेंटल पीस इन ड्राइंग रूम. ही ओर से कोन पिनिचंती अ बिग टर्बान देखि पारतुव बिग टर्बान बा पगड़ी पिनिचंती एंड लूज क्लॉथेस तांकर क्लॉथेस गुडी को लूज एकरी अछि. हिज लॉन्ग व्हाइट बियर्ड कवर्ड द बेस्ट पार्ट ऑफ हिज चेस्ट. दाढ़ी कोन व्हाइट दाढ़ी पूरा तांकर कवर कर देछि एवं द बेस्ट पार्ट ऑफ हिज चेस्ट एंड ही लुक्ड एट लीस्ट 100 इयर्स. से केमति देखा जाउछंती 100 इयर्स ओल्ड बढ़िया देखा जाउछंती. He looked as if he could only have grandchildren. से एमिति देखा जाउछंती तांकर बहुत एज ओल्ड समयर फोटो चित्र अटे एवं सेथिरे से एमिति देखा जाउछंती जेमति कि तांकर केवल कोन लॉट्स ऑफ ग्रैंडचिल्ड्रन थिबे भलिया नहीं. He looked as if he could only have lots and lots of grandchildren. As for my grandmother being young and pretty, the thought was almost revolting. Again, एटा कहा जाउची जे से जो तांकर जेजेमा कोन थिबे यंग और प्रीति थिबे एई जो भावनाटा तांको कोन तांको ता युक्ति संगत तांको लागि पाउ नाही काहेकि ना से छोटो बेलरु तांको जेजेमा को एई रूप रे एई रिंकल्ड फेस रे से देखिचंती. तेणु तांको सेटा तांको युक्ति संगत लागु नाही जे तांको जेजेमा को समय रे प्रीति भी मध्य रही पारतिबे कहिजी. So that seemed quite absurd and undignified. तांको युक्ति संगत सेटा मने हो नाही and her part and we treated it like the tales of the prophets she used to tell us. आउ सेटा से माने ओटे काल्पनिक गल्प भलिया जेंति आमे कहिथा छुआ मानंकु सेही भलिया तांकु सेटा प्रत्यामान होउची नाही. So dear students एठारे आमे ग्रैंडफादर रो डिस्क्रिप्शन विषय रे आमे जानि पाले एई पैराग्राफ रे कोन ना ग्रैंडफादर वेयरिंग अ बिग टर्बान नहीं आउ केमती से केमती पिनथिले लूज फिटिंग क्लॉथ्स पिनथिले तापरे आसला तांगर लॉन्ग व्हाइट बियर्ड कवर द चेस्ट नहीं एई बडी भाबरे डिस्क्राइब कराइछि लुकिंग एज इफ ही हैड सो मेनी ग्रैंडचिल्ड्रन. ए जो पॉइंट्स गुडा को तुमे माने मने रखिबो नहीं गोटे गोटे तो लाइन बाय लाइन तमरो कोन आछे तमरो क्वेश्चन मल्टीपल चॉइस आसी जाय. तेनु से गुडी को छोटो छोटो पॉइंट गुडी को मने रखिया को चेष्टा करिवो. She had always been short and fat and slightly bent. Her face was a crisscross of wrinkles running from everywhere to everywhere. No, we were certain she had always been as we had known her. old, so terribly old that she could not have grown older, and had stayed at the same age for 20 years. She could never have been pretty, but she was always beautiful. She hobbled about the house in spotless with white sari, with an one hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop and the other telling the beads of her rosary. Her silver looks were scattered untidily over her pale face, and her lips constantly moved in inaudible prayer. Yes, she was beautiful. She was like the winter landscape in the mountains. Okay, let's read the first know about unknown words, then we will understand the text. Terribly, extremely, okay. Hobble means to walk with a difficulty in awkward way. देखो आमर जते बेले ओल्ड पर्सन माने चलंती सेमानकर वे ऑफ वॉकिंग टा टिके धीरे थाए नहीं सेटाकू से ताको कहा जाए hobble. Then spotless white saree. This in this picture you can see that saree is without any spot, that is called spotless white saree. Then stoop, an inclination of the towards the half of the body forward and downward. आमर जते बेले एज हे जाए सेही समय रे कोन जते बेले जेजेमा को तुमे देखिथिबो टिके इंक्लिनेशन होचे कुआडे कुआडे इंक्लिनेशन होइथाय ना आमर डाउनवर्ड टिके हितांती आउ से माने सेटा को कुआ जाए stoop. Beads of rosary. Beads of rosary means here you can see in this picture beads of rosary. नहीं तापरे असला scattered to fall irregularly. Untidily means aswachhata in a way that is not neat and clean. Then pale face. Pale face means like a face with colorless or weak face. हमें कही परिबा inaudible अश्रावणीय landscape प्राकृतिक दृश्य. So first understand the text. She had always been short, fat and slightly bent. जेजेमा को से here you can see in this picture नहीं से केमती छिड़ाई चंती से माने सीधा आमो भली छिड़ाई पारंती की नहीं से माने कौन slightly bent करतंती नहीं. So here Khuswant Singh is describing his own grandmother. So she had always been short. से short थिले और fat मध्य थिले और slightly bent नहीं. Her face was a criss-cross of wrinkles. Here you can see so many wrinkles on face. नहीं so तांकर faces रे तांकर face रे कौन थिला तांकर cross wrinkles रे भरा हितला. तापरे कौन थिला ना no we were certain she had always been as we had known her. से सेमती हम छोटो बेलू आमे तांकू सही रूप रे देखुछु बोली किए कहउचंदी हमर ऑथर कहउचंदी. ओल्ड सो टेरिबली ओल्ड से एमिति ओल्ड ना ताठू आहुरी ओल्ड आउ कोनोसी अवस्था नाही बोली हमर लेखक कहउचंदी नहीं. She could never have been pretty but she was always beautiful. से प्रीति होई पारि केबे भी होई पारि नथिबे किंतु she always for me for author she was always beautiful. Always beautiful को आमे केवल चेहरा रे आमे दर्शाई न थाउ केमती ना तांकर व्यवहार तांको प्रति जो केयरनेस तांको प्रति जो तांकर भावना एवं सेल्फलेस सर्विस जो अछि सेटा तांको मोस्ट ब्यूटीफुल करिछि. सेति पई से कहउचंदी से प्रीति होई न पारंती किंतु तांको पई से सदा सर्वदा कोन अटंती ब्यूटीफुल अटंती. She hobbled about the house in spotless white saree with one hand resting on her waist. So से कौन ना से तांको घरे स्पॉटलेस सारी रे सदा बेले कौन तांकर गोटे हैंड को तांकर शरीर को बैलेंस करबा पई से वेस्ट रे तांकर अंटा रे रखितांती धरितांती एवं से याडे साडे तांकर मूवमेंट करितांती. एवं से कौन करतांती मध्य ना से प्रार्थना करिथांती जो बीड्स गुड़ाक थाए तुम देखिदो माला सेगुड़िक धरिकी से मंत्र जाप किंबा कौन सी तुम प्रार्थना जाप मध्य से करिथांती दैट इज कॉल्ड रोजारी बीड्स तापरे lips constantly moved in an unaudible prayer means what ना से प्रेयर जो करिथांती ताहा हमकु सुभान गले मध्य से सब बेले कोन से मंत्र जाप करी से बीट्स गुडी को से मूवमेंट करथांती तांको आंगुठी रे yes she was beautiful again he was telling that she was beautiful for him she was always beautiful. She was like the winter landscape in the mountain. Winter landscape गुड़ी का जमती देखा जाए mountain भुलिया से सदा सर्वदा कौन मुपाई से beautiful रही थी. Next grandmother रे एठी जो वर्णना कराई छी कौन कराई छी से fat and short से केमती होचंदी fat and short then silver looks white hair सिल्वर केमती थाए कलर सिल्वर रो कलर जेमती व्हाइट थाए सेही समय सिल्वर कलर जेबरी व्हाइट थाए सांकर सेमती से सदा सर्वदा कोन व्हाइट विथ व्हाइट साड़ी तापरे विथ व्हाइट हेयर शी लुक्स लाइक silver that's why the author told that silver looks with white hair then wrinkled faces that you know wrinkled faces then spotless sari sada sarvada kon pintandi spotless white sari holding beads of rosary here you can see holding beads of rosary next hands resting on her waist to balance her stool तांको चाली को से सपोर्ट करिवा पई से कोन करथांती तांकर वेस्ट को गोटी हाथ रे धरिथांती नै सो लाइक दिस the author described his grandmother nahin so you have to remember all the points bit by bit so that you can answer your multiple choice question easily next paragraph my grandmother and I were good friends here Kushwant Singh was saying that my grandfather and mother and I were good friends my parents left me with her when they went to live in the city and we were constantly together. She used to wake me up in the morning and get me ready for school. She said her morning prayer in a monotonous sing-song while she bathed and dressed me in the hope that I would listen and get to know it by heart. I listened because I loved her voice but never bothered to learn it. Then she would fetch my wooden slate which she had already washed and plastered with yellow chalk, a tiny earthen ink pot, a reed pen, tie them all in a bundle and hand it to me. After a breakfast of a thick stale chapati with a little butter and sugar spread on it, we went to school. She carried several stale chapatis with her dogs. So, first learn unknown words, monotonous, flavorless, then bothered, worried about something. कौनसी विषय रे आमे जदि worried थिबा ताकू वाजे bothered, fetch to get another place to get something or someone. किछि उठे आनिबा पई bring करिबा पई wooden slate this one the picture of wooden slate then reed pen here is the picture of reed pen it is an ancient writing tool ता आगो काल रे एही पेन व्यवहार करा जाउतला next tell means no longer fresh to eat नहीं बासी हमें कहि परिबा बासी खाद्य को तापर देखो एबे हमें टेक्स्ट को बुझिबा my grandmother and I were good friends Kushwant Singh was saying that my grandmother ଆଉ ମୁଁ कोन आमे दुहे बहुत बढ़िया भलो सांग थिलु my parents left me with her मो तांको पेरेंट्स तांको बापा मां तांको ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स तांको ग्रैंडमा सहित छाडी देथिले एवं से पढि जाइथिले they went to live in the city से सिटी को चली जाइथिले नै and we were constantly together एवं से माने दुहे के खुशवंत सिंह और तांको जेजेमा सदा सर्वदा सब बेले सांगरे थिले constantly together She used to wake me up. से मते उठाउथिले नहीं wake me up in the morning रे से तांको उठाउथिले get me ready for school पई तांको prepare करूथिले. She said her morning prayer in a monotonous sing song while she bathed and dressed me in the hope that I would listen and get to know it by heart. से ଯେତେବେଳେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ମାନେ କଣ କରୁଥିଲେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ପ୍ରିପେୟାର କରୁଥିଲେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଡ୍ରେସିଂ ଅପ୍ କରୁଥିଲେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ସ୍ନାନ କରାଉଥିଲେ ସେଇ ସମୟରେ ସେ କିଏ ଆମର ଗ୍ରାଣ୍ଡମା ସେ ସଦା ସର୍ବଦା କଣ କହୁଥିଲେ ସେ ପ୍ରେୟର ଗାଉଥିଲେ ନାଇଁ କଣ ପାଇଁ ନା ଯଦି ସେ କାହା ସମ୍ମୁଖରେ ଖୁଶବନ୍ତ ସିଂ ସମ୍ମୁଖରେ ସେଟା ଗାଇବେ ତାହେଲେ ଶୁଣି ସେ जदि मने रखी पकेबे ताहले ताहा भलो हेबो नाही तेणु से सदा सर्वदा कोन करथिले ना जेतेबेले तांको ड्रेसिंग अप करथिले तांको स्नान करौथिले से समय से प्रेयर गुडी को सबले कहउथिले तांको सामना रे से गाउथिले किंतु एठरे हमर पोएट हमर लेखक हमर खुशवंत सिंह कहउचंती आई लिसन्ड मु सुनुथिली बिकॉज़ आई लव्ड हर वॉइस से कोन पई सुनुथिले कहीं ना से तांको तांकर वॉइस बहुत भल लागुथिला कार वॉइस तांको ग्रैंडमा रो वॉइस बहुत भलो लागुथिला बट नेवर बदर टू लर्न इट किंतु से केबे बदर केबे चेष्टा करनांती केबे से कोशिश करनांती कोन करिया पई ताकू सिखिबा पई लर्न करिया पई नहीं आमे जेंती शिक्षक जेतेबेले पढौ थांती क्लास रे जो माने टिके मध्ये कोन सिखिबा पई चेष्टित थांती से माने सेटाको ग्रहण करंती नहीं पढ़ंती आ जो माने टिके भी बदर करंती नहीं कि पढ़िबा कहंती से माने जेते आमे पढ़ौथिले मध्ये से माने सिखिबा को चेष्टा करंती नाही से सुनुथिले सुनिबा हियरिंग आउ लर्न करिबा सेटा दुटा डिफरेंट जिंस नहीं आमे सुनिले मध्ये जदि आमे ताकू सिखिबा पई निजे चेष्टित हेबा नाही ताहेले आमे सेउडिको केबे ग्रहण करि परिबा नाही किबा सिखि परिबा नाही जदि आमे चेष्टा करिबा ताहले जाहि आमे ताहा सिखि परिबा हमर निज मध्यरे कोन हेतिबा आवश्यक हम निज मध्यरे आग्रह थिबा आवश्यक we have to learn we have to give interest that what our teacher is saying what we have to learn that one yes or no if we are not interested to learn it then we are unable to learn that one ओके सो तांको ग्रैंडमा तांको से समय रे जेतबेले तांको प्रिपेयर करथिले स्कूल पई से सबले से विभिन्न भजन हला प्रेयर हला बहुत लविंग वे रे से गाउथिले किंतु से बहुत मन ध्यान देई सुनुथिले किंतु ताकू केबे सिखिबा पई से चेष्टा करी नथिले tie them all in then what is that she had already washed my wooden slate okay I loved her voice but never bothered to learn it then she would fetch my wooden slate tapre se tankaro कोन बेग प्रिपेयर करथिले जोथरे कि से कोन रखुथिले वुडन स्लेट रखुथिले आगो काल रे कोन हमें स्लेट रे व्यवहार करा जाउथिला नहीं पेन एंड कॉपी थारु बेसी हमें स्लेट रो व्यवहार करथिला बडो क्लास रे हमरो पेन पेपर व्यवहार करूला ताहले से कोन वुडन स्लेट देन प्लास्टर्ड विथ येलो चॉक ए टाइनी और देन इंक पॉट याडे देखि पाजितबो तमे इंक पॉट थिला आउ पेन एही भडी जो पेन थिला से पेन रो व्यवहार करा जाउथला इंक रे सेटा चालुथिला एवं से समस्त को बंडल करी तांकू तांको हाथ रे से दउथिले तांको जेजेमा आफ्टर ए ब्रेकफास्ट ऑफ ए थिक stale chapati here you can see this one thick stale chapati basi chapati माने कोन ना राती रो जो रखा जाइतबो चपाती को से कोन घियो एवं बटर मींस कोन घियो एवं सुगर स्प्रेड करी करी सिथिरे तांको खाइबा को दउथिले एंड दे वी वेंट टू स्कूल एवं से तांको ग्रैंडमा सहित पढि जाउथिले स्कूल को जाउथिले she carried several stale chapatis with her for the village dog से तांकर विलेज डॉग्स मानक पई मध्य से चपाती गुडी को नेकी जाउथिले सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट योर स्टोरीज हमें मेन पॉइंट्स गुडी को आउथरे देखि दबा डिस्कस करनबा The portrait of a lady deals with an account of the author's old grandmother. एठारे author किए होतंती हमर खुशवंत सिंह ले तांकर old grandmother रो ए portrait of lady रे तांकर विषय रे वर्णना करा जायछि. He says that his grandmother was an old and wrinkled person. Then people said she was once young, pretty and had a husband, but it was hard for the author to believe. किंतु ताहा तांको believe करिवा पाई बहुत कष्ट करूता माने तांको believe हो नथिला. The author talks about the portrait of his grandmother who looked at least 100 years old to him. तांकर authorଙ୍କର grandfather रो portrait जो थिला ताहा तांको केते बयस देखा जाउतला ना जणा जाउतला ना 100 years रो भली से देखा जाउतले. The thought of the author's grandmother being pretty and young was almost revolting to him. नहीं तांकर जो grandmother जो pretty और young ए thought ता तांको most कोन करतला revolting तांको युक्ति संगत किमा लागु नथिला. The author describes his grandmother and says that she was short, fat and slightly stooped in nature. एई बड़ी भाबरे से तांकर वर्णना करछन्ती कोन तांकर grandmother was a very typical religious old lady. She used to hobble around the house, her one hand balancing her stoop and another telling her rosary. Khushwant's relationship with his grandmother went through several changes when he was a small boy. Young Khushwant lived in a village with her as parents were looking for the opportunity to settle down in the city. जेतेबेले से तांगा सिटी को जाइथिले से समय रे खुशवंत सिंह कांस्टेंटली का सहित रहउथिले जेजेमा सहित से गारे रहउथिले. In the village his grandmother took care of all the needs of the child. Then she was quite active and agile. She woke him up in the morning, got him ready for school, plastered his wooden slate, prepared his breakfast of thick stale chapatis. स्टेल चपाती बासी चपाती तांको खाइबा को दउथले तांकर वुडन स्लेट रेडी करूथले नै तांको स्नान करौथले तापरे चपाती रे कोन दउथले बटर एंड sugar escorted him to the and also he used to escort him to the school. They had street dogs with stale chapati on their way back to school. जेतेबेले से स्कूल को जाउथले सेतेबेले से स्टेल चपाती मध्ये नै कि जाउथले for whom? For the street dogs, right? So this is all about your first part of the chapter. So now is question answer time. I hope you have understood the chapter well and you can give the answer. Okay. So which thought was revolting for the author? Which thought was revolting for the author? His grandfather having children, his grandmother being young and pretty. Who will give the answer? Which thought was revolting for the author? Ko thought ta tanku vidrohatmako boli laguthila mane seta tanku grohaniya se kari paru nothile koda option B. Yes, option B, very good. His grandmother being young and pretty. Okay, then number second, why was her face a crisscross of wrinkles? ये कोई पर TPS school Bonpali? Due to a disease, due to her old age, due to scratches made by her grandchildren, or due to an accident? Yes.
Option B.
Option B, very good.
Option B.
Yes, due to her old age, very good. Next. Number 3, how did the author and other children treat it when the grandmother told them about her childhood? Author and other children treat it when the grandmother told. Option A, like the tales of the prophets used to tell. Very good. Is the right answer. Sit down. Next, according to the author, his grandmother could not have been pretty, but she was always. Which one right answer? No, first try to read each
Beautiful.
and every. Yes, beautiful, very good. से तांको ग्रैंडमा तांको पई से प्रिटी होई न पानंती किंतु से सदा सर्वदा तांको पई कोन थिले ब्यूटीफुल नहीं वेरी गुड why did the grandmother always have one hand on her waist से सदा सर्वदा तांको ग्रैंडमा गोटे हैंड को तांको वेस्ट रे रखुथिले काई रखुथिले her waist was paining to balance her stoop as her hand was broken or her
Option
leg
B
was
to balance her stoop.
very good. To
Option
balance
B.
her. Option B. Option B is the right one. Very good. Where was the portrait of the author's grandfather placed? ତାଙ୍କର grandfather ର portrait ଟା କୋଉଠି ଥିଲା?
Option A above the mantel piece in drawing room.
Very good. This is the right answer. Above the mantelpiece in drawing room. Next, how was the author's grandfather been portrayed? Grandfather ଙ୍କୁ ମୁଁ डायग्राम माध्यमରେ ବର୍ଣ୍ଣନା କରାଯାଇଥିଲା ନାଇଁ ବତେଇଥିଲି କେମିତି କଣ ତାଙ୍କର କ୍ରାଇଟେରିଆ ଦିଆଯାଇଥିଲା so which one is the right answer
Option D all of the above.
very good all of the above ସେ big turban ମଧ୍ୟ ପିନ୍ଧିଥିଲେ wearing loose fitting clothes also having long white beard also ନାଇଁ all of the above why did the author's grandfather look like only having lots of grandchildren କାହିଁକି ସେ କହୁଥିଲେ କିଏ ଆମର ଖୁଶବନ୍ତ ସିଂ କହୁଥିଲେ ଯେ ତାଙ୍କ ପୋର୍ଟ୍ରେଟ୍ ଦେଖିଲା ପରେ ଲାଗୁଛି ଯେମିତି କି ତାଙ୍କର କେବଳ lots of grandchildren ଥିବେ କାହିଁ which one is the right answer
Option A due to his age.
very good due to his age nahi next how did the grandmother look kemti old fat long or long fat slightly bent or old short slightly bent with fat and slightly bent or fat would have a right option yes?
Option C
very good option C is the right one
old
short slightly bent and fat very good next grandmother carried several chapatis for village dash grandmother used to take several chapatis while going to school ते कहाँ पे chapatis लेकर जाउथले
Option B dogs.
very good option B dogs next what was narrator's breakfast in village narrators means here Khushwant Singh nahi ତାଙ୍କର ବ୍ରେକଫାଷ୍ଟ କଣ ଥିଲା thick stale chapati yes option C is the right one that is the thick stale chapati next grandfather looked at least dash years of age in his photo ତାଙ୍କ photo ରେ ସେ କେତେ age ର ଜନ୍ମ କରିଥିଲେ
Option D 100.
option D 100 very good
Option D 100.
very good next in village narrator used to write on a desk କୋଉଥିରେ ଲେଖୁଥିଲେ
Option C.
yes option C wooden slate very good who is the writer of the portrait of a lady who is the writer
Khushwant Singh.
yes
B,
Khushwant Singh yes option B is the right one very good yes always try to smile like this every time so dear students I hope you all have understood all the things all the part 1 of the chapter and now this is the homework write down and show to your teacher dear students remember one thing wrinkled faces are not only wrinkled they show about what their experience yes so try to always love to your grandparents always show respect to them always respect their experience and also try to learn from their good advices okay so grandparents are always God gifted person in our life try to always give respect to them and learn various things from them Okay, thank you dear students.